Hi, I'm Eliza David. I hope everybody is doing great. I'm going to continue today with my series on the 10 Commandments, and it is also a 10 Commandment challenge, because as we go through each one of these commandments and we think that we are so wonderful and righteous and holier than thou, when we look at ourselves through the eye of the Torah and the Talmud and examining ourselves really with the scrutiny of the light and wisdom of the sages of Judaism and of our teachings, we realize that we are not as great as we thought we were. How shocking and humbling. So today is the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. Now, I know many of us, mostly, I hope, will not walk out of a store with something that doesn't belong to us or steal someone's wallet or anything along those lines. But the definitions for stealing in Judaism is much broader than the secular definition of stealing. Now, I will just tell you a story. When I remember when I was a young girl, I grew up in the story that somebody had walked out of a department store carrying a canoe. And I thought, wow, that takes a lot of guts. But you know, sometimes you steal in plain sight, and the more obvious it is, the less people think it's happening. So I thought that was really interesting. So I'm sure most of us aren't walking out of a store with a canoe, but that doesn't make us necessarily honest people. Because in Judaism, it's not just stealing items or money that makes us a thief. And in Hebrew, it's lo tignov. In fact, actually, the 8th commandment, lo tignov, is actually considered the act of kidnapping in the Torah. And most of the rabbis do consider it, including the great commentator Rashi, but this Rabbi Sforno, who was an Italian rabbi living in the 1400s, includes in this lo tignov, the 8th commandment, also the theft of money, as well as kidnapping, and the theft of intellectual property. But not just intellectual property, stealing people's emotions or their minds, neutralizing their ability to make neutral decisions by manipulating them, by influencing them in ways that are not honest. So maybe we're not as honest as we think. For instance, if you are going into a store and you have no intention of buying anything, so you are joking around with the salesperson and you're asking him about prices and what if, can you get it in a bigger size, in a different color, and how much it costs, and when is a sale, and you keep them busy, but without the intention really of wanting to buy it. You don't have the money or the intention to buy it. Now, that's not just an innocent conversation. You are guilty of stealing when it comes to Judaism, according to Jewish law. Because all the time that you're stealing from that person and their ability to serve somebody else or to spend their time otherwise more productively, you're stealing from them. And also you could even be stealing their self-confidence. You're stealing they're getting their hopes up high that they're going to sell it to you, and then you leave and you don't buy, so their whole ego and many things are deflated within them. This is just not a simple interaction, as is no interaction when you are trying to do the work of God. Every moment is to be elevated. Every moment you have to deal with in an honest, pure, clear way, with your intentions right above board and on the table. So, sometimes people will date somebody and they know in their heart this person is not for me, but they're going to continue dating them because maybe they're a little lonely, or they need a date for a wedding, or they have whatever ulterior motive, or I'll hang on to them until somebody better comes along. This is really a rotten thing to do, and it's thievery. You're stealing the person's time, their heart. You're stealing their ability to meet somebody else and put their effort somewhere else. So already there's 2 things here that many people that I know who are great people, but they're guilty of doing these things. Another thing, buying stolen merchandise. We wouldn't steal, God forbid we wouldn't steal, but we already decided and justified that the item that we would like is way too expensive, and the people that are selling it are ripping us off. So if they're thieves and they rip us off by overpricing it, I could also be a thief and I can buy stolen merchandise and get the same item 50% off. You are not allowed to buy stolen merchandise. You do, it makes you a thief. cheating on an exam, getting good grades, getting yourself into an office on a false resume. This is considered theft. You are having people assume that you have certain qualifications. They invest their time, their resources, their dreams, their future plans for their company and for you. You are wasting their time. You are wasting their money. You're destroying the ability for somebody better, somebody more qualified to come along. You're not allowed to do these things. I know everybody likes to fluff up their resume. Just be straight. Just be honest. I've been in New York for a long time, and one of the main mottos there was fake it till you make it. And when it comes to confidence, maybe that's a great thing. You know, you can kind of pretend you have more confidence because, you know, you don't want to let the sweat show, don't let it show. But in terms of your qualifications and your ability, you are not allowed to lie about those things. And doing so makes you a thief. So already we started off this thinking, I would never steal. I'm very honest. You cheat the bank, you cheat the government. You're a thief. I'm sorry to say it. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. Don't start to cry. It's not me. It's the Torah that it's looking at you with very critical eyes and deciding what the definition is of theft. You make an appointment with somebody, a real estate agent or somebody, you don't show up. It's their working time, their working hours. It's considered thievery. Basically, the idea of leading people on in any area, whether you're going to marry them or you're going to hire them or you have some future plan with them or whatever it is, when you steal somebody's mind and you have no intention to follow through, your manipulative words redirect that person's life. They could even ruin a person's life. And you're not allowed to do it. It's forbidden. And it's considered thievery. Thou shalt not steal. Okay, so you know, some people will say, listen, I would never steal something big, but you know, if the bank makes a mistake, you know, by 40 cents, what's the big deal? They're rich enough to swallow the difference and the change. And we learn that in the story of Noah's flood, why did God destroy the world? There's a word that's used in the Torah, and the word is chamas, not to be confused with Hamas or with hummus. And in the Torah it says that, and the English translation is that people behaved very corruptly. They were like very guilty of evil doing. And it's true. They were very guilty of evil doing, idolatry and sexual crimes and all types of things. But why did God destroy the world? For this sin of Hamas. What is it? It's the stealing of an insignificant amount. Just let's say you go to a store, you take a sweet and low, you take a napkin, you take a straw, and you're not a patron there. You just decided that you need their napkin and you're going in and you're taking it. The problem with these types of crimes is that they fall below the level of criminality. So who's the store owner going to go sue? This guy stole the grape. I mean, they'll laugh you out of court. But the problem is that the guy before you also took a grape, and the next guy took the straw, and the next guy took the sweet and low, and so on and so forth. So the owner experiences tremendous loss, and yet there's no one to sue. And that's the problem with this, is that there is a corruption of justice in the world. So when we think, you know, of a thief, we think of, you know, big crime, big things. We have to think also small, under the magnifying glass of Judaism, to look and search like we search for chametz on Passover. We have to search each one of our actions and our deeds. Are we stealing small things that are making a dent in the justice of this world, whereby a person has no recourse? They have no legal recourse. Another way of stealing is not only what you take, but it's also what you fail to give. In Judaism and in the Torah, it is written that we have to give maaser, which is 10% of our income. Now let's be very clear on the Torah's view of this. This is not optional. 10% of your income does not belong to you. You are the trustee that God put it in your care as a test as well, to give to the poor and to give to charity and to give to Torah institutions and to give to widows and to give to orphans and to give to people who need. That money is not yours. You spend it, you are a thief. You don't give it, you are a thief. You are stealing from God. And boy, oh boy, that's a real gutsy thing to do. I would think stealing from the mob is scary, but stealing from God, I think it's scarier. My life-saving recommendation to you is don't try either. Another thing is taking credit. The rabbis talk about taking credit for rabbinical work and teachings and just saying it as if it's your own without giving credit from where it came. It's damaging to the soul of the person that you did it to. And I just know as a creative person, when someone steals my words, my ideas, I would actually rather them take a few bucks from me. Not all of it, but a few. But when somebody comes and they're taking your ideas and they're making it their own, that's it's to me, it's more than thievery. To me, it's murder. Like you're stealing my neshama, you're leaving nothing left of me. It's identity theft in the worst form. But also, according to the Torah, it's considered thievery if you do not give credit where credit is due. If you know who taught you something, say it. Give them credit for those words. They earned it, they thought it. And how desperate are you as a person that you need to get credit for something? Honestly, if somebody steals to eat or whatever, okay, you're not allowed to steal. But just like the human mind can rationalize why he stole something, he needs to eat and whatever. But to steal somebody's ideas so you can look good and important and smart, I feel sorry for people who do that. And anyways, you're not allowed to do it. So not only do I feel sorry for you, you're a thief. Okay. You also have to pay what you owe. You owe people money, you have to pay them. So you didn't go and pickpocket them, and you didn't go and walk away with a canoe or something else that belongs to them. But they did a service for you, or they gave you something and you didn't pay them. You have to pay people what you owe. That you don't like how much they charge, well, that's your problem. You could take them to court, you can argue it, you could figure it out. But to walk away without paying what you owe, you're stealing. Another thing, not to add weights onto measurements. You're a butcher, you're a jeweler, you're selling things and buying things by the gram. You're not allowed to mess around with the weights. And just know that every single thing that you do and every single thing that you steal, it will all come back to you. This world, it seems like we're free and we can come and we can go and we can get away with murder. We can get away with nothing. And when you steal, it's a complete defiance and rejection of a belief in God. Because a person who steals is usually doing it secretively. You can have a lot of chutzpah and do it out in public, like the canoe stealers, but it takes a lot of chutzpah to steal, but you also do it secretly. And if you do it secretly, it's because you don't believe in God. You think even God can't see you. You're not allowed to steal from children. You're not allowed to steal from your wife. You're not allowed to take anything that does not belong to you. In fact, it's interesting that even if we eat an apple or food or any food, if you eat it without saying a prayer, Judaism considers it theft because everything belongs to God. And when you pick up that apple and you're eating it without first thanking God and acknowledging that this apple belongs to Him and you're partaking of it and giving Him His credit and His due, you're considered a thief. Boy, oh boy, how many of us are walking away in handcuffs at the end of this shiur? Just give me your address, okay? Let's see. Okay, what else? Okay. Another thing about, I'm not doing it actually in order, so it's a little bit jumbled, but that's okay. You'll get the point. So also like stealing people's intentions, as we spoke about, you're not allowed to, manipulate them. So even when you offer somebody an invitation that they're not going to accept, or a gift, or help or something, and you really know they're not going to accept it, but you're doing it just to aggrandize yourself and to make yourself seem like you're so great, you are not allowed to make an offer for something that is going to be rejected. Because again, that's manipulation, and manipulation is considered stealing. Not allowed to sell defective merchandise. You're selling something, you have to let the person know what the flaw is. If you don't, it's stealing. Because maybe the person wouldn't have bought it. You don't understand that for you, you're just taking it and putting it in your pocket. But do you know what this person's, and this is not the justification. The justification is there is none. You're not allowed to steal. But do you know the consequences of the person that might be giving you their last dollar, might be investing in their last hope? You sell a potion, the person uses it, they're going to be uglier than ever. You're selling people hope, you're selling them lies, you're selling them a bundle of air, and that's a sin, and that's considered thievery. And again, talking about like midah keneged midah in Judaism, which is basically the law of retribution. You get exactly what you deserve. And we learn from the story of Absalom, which was King David's son. King David's son, he was guilty of stealing the emotions and the heart of 3 different bodies. His father, King David, he stole his father's heart. His father loved him. He stole the heart of the court, and he stole the heart of the people of Israel, the nation of Israel. He was a manipulator, a chief, fantastic, brilliant, beautiful, handsome man manipulator. And he stole the hearts of all the aforementioned. What was his death? His heart was pierced by 3 darts. You get in the end what you deserve. You cannot steal from God. You steal from somebody, whatever you steal from another person, it's as if you're stealing from God, because everything belongs to God. You're not even allowed to steal something as a joke. You want to teach your wife a lesson because you find that she's too loose with her money, or she always walks around with her purse open and you warned her 1,000 times. So you pull out her wallet just to teach her a lesson. You're not allowed to do that. You're not even allowed to borrow something from somebody without asking their permission. It's pouring rain. Your next door neighbor, you know, is out of town for 1.5 years, and you wouldn't mind, but you never had a chance to ask him. You see an umbrella outside his apartment door. I'll borrow the umbrella and I'll bring it back later. You're not allowed to do that. It doesn't belong to you. And when we start to define the parameters of what belongs to us and what belongs to other people within this wider scrutiny, then we learn to have more respect for everything and everybody that we interact with. Before you're about to grab that paper napkin, before you're about to waste somebody's time, before you're about to tell a girl, yeah, we might have a future together, before you do all those things, be very clear and very certain that you are not being a thief, and that you are not violating the 8th commandment of thou shalt not steal. Again, these are not recommendations. These are commandments. These are commandments from God who created this world, and they're not to restrain us, but actually to give us liberty. Because when I know what's mine and you know what's yours, then we have freedom, then we have decency, then we have mutual respect. Then we don't have to worry that you will infringe upon what is mine, or that I will infringe upon what is yours. So that's the 8th commandment. I hope that you pass the challenge, then you don't walk away neither with canoes nor with sweet and low.